Welcome to the Nailed It Wall.
Ah! On this week's episode of the Nailed It Wall, we're going to find out how did our Sierra Verde students fare at the Rubik's Cube tournament. We're also going to talk about an epic failure in terms of t-shirts and timing. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome to episode 31 of the Nailed It Wall. I'm Mr. Lane, the STEM guy.
And I'm Mrs. Schofield.
Partner, it's been a doozy of a week.
It really
Me and you have been on like a 4-day bender of just getting things done. Now, I think we just have a shared nailed it that we have to.
Yes.
Which is a nailed it that started off with a failed it.
Yeah.
Why don't you take us through the process here?
Well, so, you have to go all the way back to
last Sunday.
Okay. First of all, yes. Okay. So I would like to publicly acknowledge that I was wrong about when our cube tournament was. As if you go back to check the last episode, you were right about the fact that was actually this weekend, this Saturday. And I was pretty adamant twice on that episode.
I fought you on it.
You did. Not as hard as you should have, though, because you were 100% right. And so I thought the tournament was, the following weekend. And all of a sudden, actually a really awesome parent sent me a very kind screenshot and said, "Isn't this the tournament date?" And so lo and behold, there it was. So, yeah, you were right. And which then meant we had a lot of shirts that we needed to crank out because we figured mathematically when we were count up everybody that needed a shirt for this, we were at about 30. So
it's a lot of shirts.
It's a lot of shirts. And the thing for us is that we did not want to do shirts the way we'd always done it.
Mrs. Scofield's not her best.
Yeah,
this is like the Jordan flu game. She's digging deep, people. Yeah. So bear with her scratchy voice.
Sorry. I'm going to try not to cough very much. So, we didn't want to do vinyl. We've been doing vinyl shirts for a long, long time, and we wanted to move away from that. We've wanted to for a long time.
Vinyl's the worst.
Yeah.
We probably made 24 Rubik's Cube shirts last year with vinyl.
Easily. And when I use the word easily, I don't mean that it was easy to make those. Those were brutal. So this year, we knew we would like to do screen printing, but we kind of thought we'll have some time to figure this out. Well, once we realized that you were right, that was Sunday afternoon. And so we had to quickly figure out how to do screen printing. However, it was also the week before show week. Your kids have a busy schedule as well. So when did we get started on these shirts and figuring out screen printing as a whole? I think we finally actually started working on Thursday, right?
Well, you're missing the best part.
What's that?
Well, we didn't tell the kids the tournament was this Saturday till Wednesday before.
Till Wednesday,
and mind you, we were trying to bring 3 teams, a 3 through 5 team,
yep,
and 2 6th through 8th grade teams to the Rubik's Cube tournament. So essentially that's 24 kids solving Rubik's Cubes and getting them there with how busy our kids' schedules are. I mean, we had a championship basketball game, which you might have pulled some strings to have them go first to get them to the basketball game. So we tell them Wednesday, at the beginning of club, we're like, this is the situation. We thought we had another week, and we're going to get ready to rock and roll. The kids, they were so game about it, had a great time. We took them through some practice things. Kids that couldn't solve the cube 3 weeks ago showed up to this tournament. Totally. Some competed twice. It was truly amazing. But the best part was at the end of club, we took our yearbook picture. We got everyone out there. Great big picture. Probably had over 20 kids there. Mm-hmm. Some had basketball practice. Some couldn't make it. Take the yearbook picture. And I had my Babe Ruthian moment. I basically totally called my shot. I'm like, we're getting shirts, people. Don't worry. We'll have the shirts at the tournament.
At the tournament. You did. And my face, I was thinking, I know he just said that out loud. And I know that's what we're telling the parents. I don't really know I have no idea how we're going to make this happen. But I just knew that this is something that we've been talking about doing for a long time. And so part of me was completely freaked out. And part of me was thinking, I'm really glad that we're forcing ourselves into this situation, because sometimes you just need to nudge yourself to actually make the time to be able to, play around with this. And the other thing about that when you were talking about the boys basketball game, that's when another really horrible thing about the fact that it wasn't next weekend is I've been telling all these boys, don't worry, it's not the same day as your championship game. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So for them and their parents to be willing to do that basketball game, and it was an intense game, and then book across town to make it to the tournament, that was amazing. And they, we told them what? Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So
Wednesday at 4:30.
Yeah. And so for these basketball parents, which I'm pretty sure a lot of these parents never even were told by their kids that they had said they were going to do this tournament. And so I was just completely touched and floored to see them rolling in like they did when we were in that room. It was just the coolest feeling. So yeah, huge failed it on my part.
Huge.
Huge. Yeah. I was not well, but it doesn't even matter because we all know I am infamously bad with details.
And I took it well. I was calm, cool, collected the whole time. You were a little worried on Sunday. You were like, did you see my text? I'm like, oh, yeah, I saw your text. I'm like, it's going to be fine. We're going to do this. Calm. And I knew we were going to be fine because we have amazing parents. We have amazing kids. We work together so well. We embrace this, and we wouldn't expect anything less.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous. Shout out to Myra. We're going to come back to Myra twice. She was huge in this whole process.
Huge.
And, the whole Wishes for Teachers movement still going out there. Fill some teachers' bucket. Send them some supplies from Amazon. Google the hashtag or go on Twitter, Facebook, Wishes for Teachers. Amazing teachers have these Amazon wish lists to fill their classroom of needs.
Yeah.
We put one on that we've seen for years, like at Hobby Lobby, and we want to do that since like the first year of Moxie and kind of get into designing T-shirts and screen printing. You put this on your wish list in August. We got it in August. It's been sitting in my classroom since August, and every weekend or a long week would come around. We're like, all right, we're going to get into screen printing. We're going to design some shirts. We're going to figure this out. So we bust out the Speedball kit. Awesome kit. I mean,
it really is.
For $50, it was truly amazing what we were able to do. We pull it out. We watch like 2 YouTube videos. And then, what was it called?
It's like photo...
Light emulsion?
Yeah, emulsion, or it's also, I saw emulsion and exposure. It's really confusing.
So we watched these 2 videos.
Those are our first videos.
They're our first 2 videos. Yeah. And they talked about light emulsion, like you put it in the sun or you have these special lights that kind of, I'm like, how's this going to screen? So we got stressed out. We just kind of walked away from the night.
Yeah, that was Wednesday, right?
That was Wednesday. Yeah. We walked away and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to get stressed out of it. There must be a way that you can like vinyl. I still didn't really understand the whole screen printing thing. And so we walked away, and then kudos to Myra. She popped in on Thursday, kind of troubleshot some ideas, and we were going to use the contact paper. You're like, oh, this contact paper will be good, which we do for like transferring things from one thing to another. Myra's helping us kind of get some ideas. Came up with an awesome design. What was our shirt logo on the back?
So it was...
The cube is strong with this one.
Yeah, the cube is strong with this one. But we wanted to go back to a Yoda-esque theme. And because of the Mandalorian being so popular and Baby Yoda, kids lose their mind over Baby Yoda this year. And so we wanted
adorable.
him... He's adorbs. And so we wanted that in the design. And we kind of shot some different ideas around. And Myra actually said something about the force is... something about the force is strong or something. And so then that sparked. And then it just... all fell together right then, fell into place. And so she went home, did whatever she does in her magical workspace, and came up with it. Yeah, I mean, by the end of the day, we had...
She had a front design.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It was awesome. And then she even purchased a font for us for like the Star Wars on the front. We kind of went basic with Sierra Verde in the front. So again, I'm not stressed out. We kind of all came together and figure out there's a way that you can kind of do this vinyl thing. We switched. We just used a vinyl sticker, so there's like no transfer paper. Worked out awesome.
No, remember what happened? So we tried to use the stencil first, the stencil stuff, and that was not good. And then remember we switched to vinyl, and then I weeded it opposite. So I weeded the whole thing opposite from what we needed. So that was our second fail in this process. So continue.
That is true.
Yeah.
So we're so excited. It's Thursday night where we finally crack the code. We do 2 practice shirts. We have these 2 white shirts we do a practice on. We like take the paint. We have a whole system. I mean, we had a countdown. Like I was like, all right, I'm down. You would do the paint scrape. And, like you would do your elbows down on the shirts. And I'd be like 3, 2, 1. I'd pull it up like perfectly to make sure the screen print. And it would just like be like, you're like painting onto the shirt like with a special paint. And we had this whole system. We did 2 shirts and we're like, all right, we're ready to go all in. We press. We got a heat press. Thanks to Kim Tanner. We would not have this heat press without your hard work. Yeah. We miss you. We press all the shirts. We go back over there, and mind you, like you have to have like cardboard inside so the paint doesn't seep through the other side. Thank you to YouTube, because if we did not watch that YouTube video, we would have not have known that little trick there.
True.
Paint would have seeped through. So I'm like using my like little saw. What's that thing called?
I don't know. Cardboard cutters.
I got this little cardboard cutter, so I'm cutting out like all these squares. And we go to do our first gray shirt. No, it was another white shirt. We were going to do another white shirt. And then there was like this like little like weird crease in the
through the line, through the words,
through the cardboard. Yeah, so it made this like weird gap. We're like, what happened? And then you're like, there's a crease in the cardboard, and I'm like, no.
So that ink pooled right there in like a strike through the text
on the back side of our screen.
Now, why is that a problem?
Because when we go to put that on, then like that's going to leave a line across the next shirt.
Right.
We tried cleaning it to no avail. Then we had to good thing we printed out 2 of our cutouts that we had weeded, had our stencils to kind of go, pulled those out, threw that one away, cleaned the whole thing.
Which cleaning the whole thing takes some time.
It took some work.
Yeah.
And then we came back, and then we just got it done. And then for like 2 nights, like we did the fronts, then we did the backs, and then we pressed them. And the kids are just so excited about these shirts.
They are really awesome.
And they look sharp.
And now we know how to screen print, and I feel so much more confident now. Like the idea of doing shirts with screen printing, not just shirts, but like really a lot of different things. I just feel so excited that we finally learned this skill. But through so much of failure, like we figured out what things are important, and now we're like picky about our cardboard and choosy about how you do the ink, and then even matching the colors. We couldn't get
you did a good job with that.
So that was tough, but we learned so much, and I find screen printing superior. Like I just love it. And our maker, again, we're so grateful for that. That thing was a beast.
We do love the Cricut. If you're in the market for a Cricut, spend the extra $100. Get a maker. That thing. Awesome. I mean, today we labeled all the Nintendo Switches, all the Nintendo Switch controllers within 2 minutes. We had the stickers out. Got those on there. The maker is pretty awesome, but I feel like this is a huge milestone for us as makers.
Yeah,
moving away from vinyl, and like when you do a vinyl shirt, like over time it can peel off, and we said how proud we were last year in terms of last year's Rubik Cube shirts holding up. We see the kids still wearing them, and the vinyl still, it looks good and everything, but screen printed, you're basically embedding, like you're getting the paint to cure within the shirt, and it's right on there. And every shirt that comes around, I'm like, oh, is that vinyl? I'm like checking my kid's shirt, or is this like screen printed, or kind of screen printed on there. But screen printed, I mean, it was so much fun, and to bust out 30 shirts, and like to think of like trying to weed those 30 shirts in 3 days.
Well, and then, because the thing that we would find is, especially if you're laying down vinyl letters like we would, if you get a little kink in a letter or anything, like all that just can completely throw your design. And then you had, yours was the final, like, okay, the telling thing about how good our shirts were. So you washed yours, right?
I did.
And I won't lie, a little bit of me, like, my heart stopped for just a second. I'm thinking like, oh gosh, like this is a big commitment, because unlike me, I would have washed mine by myself, like just that one load. But you went all in, and what were your results?
It was good. It was awesome. I did turn it inside out for the dryer just because he made me a little nervous. So I threw it in there, and I felt so good about it. But the kids look so sharp.
They look so sharp.
And the thing I love too is, again, this was on Wednesday. We could not go to a t-shirt company and be like, oh, here's A and B. This is our design.
Right.
We want these delivered by Friday so we can have them on Saturday. That just would not happen. Again, this is a 3-week club. You have to get your money in. You have to get a PO. You have to go to approved vendors within the district. And like, you think about this, we didn't even know how many kids. We were just adding kids as the club went on. Kids were just like showing up there. Oh, I'm going to come to the tournament. We had an 8th grader learn to solve it on that Wednesday and showed up and competed at the tournament in our championship team that made us to the top 5 there.
There were so many stories like that day too. And the cool thing about a Rubik's Cube tournament is, you know, I didn't see any team this year that didn't do a shirt. I feel like
everyone had a shirt.
Last year, I think it was kind of a mix, and some other years you might have a mix. But this year, every team had a shirt, and ours really is the stamp of our personality, of our school, kind of the way we're just a little bit different in a good way. And the kids were so proud of those, and they just looked so sharp, and I was really excited.
You weren't there for the morning session. Max was so excited. He was like, if they're giving out a trophy for T-shirts, it would be us. He's like, that's the one that matters there.
So cute.
He took such great pride in that.
That's the best.
So you talk about being makers and kind of keeping this in-house and having these tools. We spent a little under $90 on all these shirts for the kids at Michael's, correct? No, Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby. Yeah. Thank you. Shout out to Hobby Lobby.
Yeah,
love that place.
Awesome.
Now, you would think a shirt like this would cost $15 a pop easily,
right.
You know,
easily.
And you would need weeks ahead of time to kind of get these, and there's malfunctions and little snafus, trying to get the screen. We did all this stuff. Shout out to Myra as well. With Myra, the 3 of us did all this, and that would have cost close to $500 would
easily.
Be a quote for that.
Yeah.
And we were able to do that for a little under $90 and then in 3 days and have our own custom spin on it. So I think that's kind of like the coolest thing from there.
Yeah.
But that was
it's probably about $100.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But that's insane. That's an insane price. And the potential for us to be able to do so many things with that, and then to have kids do so many things. I'm just super excited about that. And to be able to finally use, like the heat press, we've used a little bit, you know, but we really, really got to put that, you know, through its motions this weekend for sure. And I feel like we're a lot more confident for it.
No, totally. It was awesome. But we had an epic Saturday. So tell us how your Saturday started off.
Well, you're right. I was not at the morning session of Rubik's Cube because you were kind enough to take the helm on that so that I could attend the championship
you
game.
Needed to be there.
Yeah, for my boys. So our SV basketball team, they were in the playoffs for the championship.
Playoffs?
That scared me, I won't lie. And so, you know, boy, these guys have had just a season. And every time I watch them on the court, I'm so, so proud of them. And so it did mean a lot to me to be there. And it was really sweet because it was really a mutual thing. It means so much to kids when you're able to go to things like that. And, you know, the cheer team is there too. And this is kind of like their last hurrah as well. And so, you know, it was really, really special. And the boys even said, you know, that came to the tournament, they were saying how much that crowd energy meant to them. And, you know, a lot of people came out to show them some serious love. So I spent my time there. I was a mess. I'm texting you like all the updates. You know, that was a really, 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 I don't even know, like, I don't want to say nail biter because we ended up winning by a stretch, but they had to fight so hard to get that lead.
I would call it a nail biter when at the end of the first quarter, it's 1-0 them.
I mean, and that speaks volumes because we're a pretty high scoring team as far as like how the season's gone. And they have we have some good shooters. And so we put a lot of balls up, but, you know, both teams were strong on rebounds. Both teams were strong on defense. And so it was very much like we were pretty evenly matched for that first, you know, bit. And then finally a little bit of the tide turned. And once they got their wind, they just went with it. It was such a tremendous game and I was so proud. And then right after, you know, I book over to the tournament. I didn't even like touch base with the kids. I just knew they were going to come or they weren't going to come. They just played a crazy game. And I was like, you know, I mean, it's got to be something that they want. And I don't want to put the extra burden. They know about it. Their parents know about it, whatever. And Rashid, shout out to Rashid, because, you know, I kept meaning to talk to him. And he's always been, you know, doing the cube with us for several years. And so I kept forgetting to ask him if he wanted to do it. So I just handed his mom a form and said, it's, you know, right after this, if you can bring him. sure enough, Rashid walked in. I mean, he is just, he cracks me up. What a great kid. So as we're in the, that was kind of chaotic because you're sitting out in the sun. It's this beautiful Zen moment, right? You're outside with your kids.
I did have a chaotic morning.
Yeah, you did. But right then it was like the calm before the storm because your sweet daughter's waiting for Starbucks to open. She's been such a trooper all morning. For some odd reason, they don't open Starbucks till noon, which seems counterintuitive to me.
Especially on a college campus.
Yes, I'm like, we need caffeine first thing. So anyway, whatever. So you go off and right then everything starts going so fast. Like kids are starting to show up, some of them, not the basketball kids, but other kids are showing up. And I'm trying to navigate the parent forms. Plus I have to check in. Totally almost forgot to check in. And then I hear them call our name.
That'd be a big fail.
Yeah, a huge fail. And so I hear them call our name inside the ballroom. So I'm ushering everybody in. I'm calling you, get over here, get over here. You're waiting for Sam's painful diva drink. And so, it's kind of like that intense stuff. And then it was just like all this, it was like out of a movie. But, when the basketball boys walked in, I was really trying hard not to be emotional, but it meant so much to me to end this year with them because they've been with us for so long, and the fact that it was important to them because they weren't in club. They couldn't. And so they didn't have that.
And they enjoy that. Like they're bummed. Like some days they're like, "Oh, we're gonna be so excited to come next week."
Yeah,
and
they were
there
excited.
Is no next week.
Yeah, they were so excited to have that last Wednesday because normally they're always with us. I don't know how it's worked out other years.
It started a little later.
Yeah, I guess because, or maybe they weren't in championship. I don't know, but we've always had them. So I know that that's something that they've really enjoyed, and so for them to show up,
and they're all such leaders, like in the club.
They are.
So it's so cool to kind of celebrate that moment, and to have them over there, like 2 teams for 6th through 8th grade, like out there, like just having so much fun, and it was. Some of these kids had never been solved together, and they're just getting up there, and they just I was just blown away. I'll come back to the afternoon session, but the morning session, we had 6 kids show up. We have 2 brothers. One brother's in 2nd grade. Yes, people, 2nd grade, solving the cube.
He's going to be our secret weapon.
And then the solo competition, he actually beat his brother in 5th grade by 3 seconds. So there's some real sibling rivalry going on back in there. But his younger brother wasn't even in the club. His mom just asked, he loves solving the cube. Can he just come to the club? And he just kind of came in, started hanging out. And these kids... on a Rubik's Cube team, what happens, you have 25 cubes on a table, and you have 8 people per team, and you got to solve as many cubes as you can. And we had 6 people, so we were down 2 people, and they solved all these cubes. They just missed advancing to the final round by 30 seconds. So again, down 2 people, and they solved all these cubes in 6 minutes and 10 seconds.
And several of those kids only just learned how to solve the cube this year, like this season, like Zane, that was a brand new, like there's kids
Zane,
in
3
there.
weeks ago.
Yeah. So that's the thing that's even for us, the stories that came out of this experience, this club, they're unbelievable. That is so much to be proud of what those kids did. They tore it up. 6 kids, and we've done that before at a tournament where we did 6. And it really does put you at a disadvantage. And the fact that they weren't discouraged and that they just went for it, that's amazing.
They had the best attitudes. They were just so positive, and I could have been more proud of how they did. One of our students just missed the top 3. Carter in 5th grade solved his cube in 33 seconds. 33 seconds, and I think the 3rd place was 32.7. Like all these things are just milliseconds that separate the cube. So it was an awesome day. I was just so proud of our youngers and how well they did.
Yeah.
We had a big 5th grade group there, so mostly 5th graders. So they'll be moving up the next division next year, and lots of fun. And then our 6th or 8th grade groups, they just had so much fun for the day, just kind of being around each other.
Yeah.
And like after they hung out, they were playing football, basketball, eating in the ASU cafeteria. They do love the buffet.
Yeah.
They're big fans of it. So it was just such a fun, kind of awesome day to kind of go from there.
It really was. And, the other thing about the food thing is, those boys, most of them had come from the basketball game, or a lot of them had. They were starving. And because, we threw them into the first thing at about 12:30. It was pretty close to on time. And so, they've played this intense basketball game, come right in, they do the cube. great. So then they want to go off to eat. But however it worked, we couldn't let them go because we weren't sure about the timing and all that. So we didn't end up letting them go finally eat till like 2, something like that. And I mean, although they were hungry and it was clear they were hungry, not one like problem with it. I mean, that can be tough. And they were just such great, troopers about it. And so our group, the first team advanced to the next heat. Is that what it is? I don't know.
Yep.
And so that was really cool because that core group, the ones that competed in the first team, those were our kids that have been coming back year after year.
And then mind you, in that second division, there was 14 teams in the middle school division. And so the top 5 advanced to the championship round. And, and we made it into that top 5, and it was so awesome. And, and what was their time in the first round?
It was, I have to look it up because they shaved 40 seconds off, and their time the second time was 3:55.
3:55.
Yeah.
So they solved all these cubes in 3:55, and
the second time.
You couldn't tell us we didn't win first place. They just felt like on top of the world.
They were so.
To break 4 minutes, we broke 4 minutes, and these kids are just like so pumped up, and to shave that much amount of time in a Rubik's Cube tournament is insane. Like every year we've done is like a difference of 5 seconds, difference of 10 seconds because you're kind of stable in like what you do, and it was just so awesome. Could have been Ethan popping in there on the last one. Ethan is a beast on the cube.
He is a beast.
But these kids are just so excited. Now the cool thing too is like a couple of these kids have been doing this for 6 years, part of this club, every year going to the tournament, competing. They're 8th graders now, so they've been doing it since my first year of doing that as 3rd graders, and it's so cool to have this like kind of moment, even though we never got over the hump to win the whole thing. But it's not about that.
No,
and
it's like, really not.
It's about the kids solving the cubes. Now, how many 8th graders do you think you have up on your Nailed It wall that have solved the cube so far this year?
I have no idea. Well over 50.
Well over 50.
Yeah, well over 50 because now we're in quarter 3 and I've already done cube with this quarter. And so it would be pretty much everybody from STEM classes. So definitely over 50. And there's kids that that haven't been in the STEM class that have been, have done it on their own just because they see, especially in my homeroom. So it's a ton of kids.
Yeah. So it was a fun day, an awesome day. We took in the ASU, was that Night Open? What was it called?
Night of the Open Door. Which is weird because it starts at noon or something.
Yeah. So we kind of check out those things, but the kids were just being kids. It was awesome. They're playing water bottle football. They moved over to the basketball court.
Beautiful day.
They had lots of like science things going on. So I took Mackenzie around there. My kids were troopers, so it was so much fun. But we were gassed at the end of this. I mean, getting the shirts done, doing this.
Because, long time for those shirts, 2 days in a row. And then to get here, we were here at 7:15 Saturday pressing them. So that was quite a commitment. So, and your kids were here late to do the shirts. So I don't even know how
they were troopers.
Any energy to spare.
So then we had a PO. I dropped my kids off with my wife at home. You swung by and picked me up. We had a PO to pick up our 2 TVs and SIM cards for our esports club. Woo-hoo. We were so pumped up. We were kind of hitting a wall, but we got pumped up once we got to Costco. Costco was still busy. We were like, all right, we'll go right before closing. And Costco was insane. I could not get over how busy it was.
You would have thought the Super Bowl was, the next day or something. I don't know.
You were doing your thing that you always do, making friends everywhere you go. I mean, fun. I think you made 10 new friends before we walked out of there.
I love the salad guy. He'll be my favorite part of that trip. But anyway, it was just such a fun experience. I'll tell you what.
Shout out to the salad guy. We were just walking in. This guy, he was staying with us the whole time, just walking around. I think he just wanted to hang out.
Yeah.
And then he told us he's bringing a salad to the Super Bowl party. And you said, do you even like your friends?
I said, why do you not like your friends? And then he schooled me, though, when he said, lady, you haven't even had my salad. And then he rattled off what he puts in it. I got to tell you, I kind of was bummed I wasn't going to have his salad because it sounded pretty glorious. Yeah. It was one of the highlights of that whole trip for me.
Yes, and then he went off, and I was like losing my mind because I was like, I don't think they sell individual SIM cards. And you made a new friend, and you're like, come back holding the SIM cards. I'm like, oh, this is online delivery only. And mind you, when you have a PO, you have to spend all this money.
Yeah, such a pain.
From it's like a piece of paper. But
we'll
the school
spend
districts,
all the money, but not lot more than the money. So it's
Exactly.
like tough to get the ending taxes and fees and whatever. So
Try to get nice and perfect.
Yeah.
And then, mind you, Costco is insane. We get these 2 Vizio TVs, 58 inches, 4K. I don't even have a 4K in my house.
They're beautiful.
I don't even think I have a 58-inch TV. So we're so pumped about this. Mr. Galletti ordered these 2 TV stands. We'll kind of get into that in a minute here. But we're just so pumped to get these TVs. We're just losing our minds. We're like, oh my goodness, we'll get 2 TVs for our esports to hook up. It's going to be awesome. And we've been seeing all these awesome things on Twitter, and we're kind of doing our own brand of things, how we're doing things. And then we have this PO, and this lady was so nice. They're like, you got to find someone. If you bumped into your other friend, she's like, you got to find someone in the red vest.
Yeah.
We found this awesome lady. We were like holding up this whole line. People were getting mad at us.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, look at this line. Like, it was like curving around.
She was not happy with it. One lady was happy with us. One, not so much. The line behind us, definitely not our fans.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But we thought we would get a great deal. Costco does not do like huge sales for Super Bowl Sunday.
No, they don't. But but the thing is, and you said you saw at Best Buy that we still got a better deal.
Yeah.
So, we can't go wrong with Costco.
We can't go wrong. So we're excited. And then Sunday comes around. I mean, I went to bed early last night. Our kids, they just don't stop. And we'll kind of talk about it a little later. I promised Ryan if he had a great day, and like he was a trooper, and he was so awesome. He was seeing friends from Sierra Verde. He was checking out all the stuff. He was playing with the big boys.
He was.
I mean, he loves those older kids as role models, kind of what we touched on last week. And I'm like, all right, I'll get you some Beyblades. We get home from Costco. What does Ryan want to do? He wants to go to Target to get some Beyblades. And I was like, I got to do this for them. You went back to right the area, you and Ella, to get a movie and some Chick-fil-A. That was a tough move.
I was pretty tired.
But then we're so pumped up. We got these TVs in the back of your car. We got to get them on the stand. We come in this morning. We're just so fired up. We're going to have the stands on there, TVs. Kids are going to come in and see them and know that this is actually happening. It's on the horizon. We've been telling them. We've had the switches out there, and we build the stands, and the TV is a little wider than the stand. So we have 2 stands with no TVs on them now.
Is hashtag true story. Yeah, but my favorite part is as you're holding this huge TV up, and I'm looking at the holes that thing has, and I'm
like, guide me in.
I know, and I'm thinking, like, I'm looking at this, but I think there's a problem here. But then, and I was trying to come up with a good way that I was going to deliver that message. But then I kept thinking, like, maybe I'm wrong about this, but it seems like it should work. And then you took a look, and then no.
Yeah, it's a little longer.
It's a little longer. So
like the 2 places for the wall hangers are like on the absolute edge there, and then you're like, all right, we got to take this thing apart and send it back. I'm like, no, that's insane. I'm like, we're going to build the other one. This is going to motivate us to get 2 more TVs that will actually fit on those stands.
They are really nice stands,
We're
Mr. Galletti. We're thankful.
We're in this bizarro state, so we need to buy 2 more TVs. So our esports club is going to have 4 TVs that fit on these 2 stands that we're looking at right now. Very proud about.
Yeah.
And then we got to buy 2 more stands for our 2 TVs that are sitting in boxes.
Those TVs are awesome. I'm super pumped.
They are awesome.
I'm really excited.
As we were building this, I almost had my toe decapitated by you.
No, well, I remember it wasn't by me, but you thought
it was your story.
Yeah. But the good news is it's not gone. It's probably swollen and perhaps damaged for your lifetime, but it's not gone. It's still on there.
That is true.
Yeah. And you'll always have that memory, that special memory.
That's true.
Yeah, that's good.
So it felt awesome to get this PO. We've been waiting for like 2 weeks. We thought we were going to get some like screaming deals, but we have all the SIM cards and Nintendo Switches. We label the Switches today. We have them all plugged in, charging. We have 2 TVs in boxes. We have 2 TV stands without stands, but we're ready to go.
We're so pumped.
And the cool thing is we had District in here last week talking to us about our vision, what we want to do. We even looked at a tower at Costco, a gamer tower. I mean, just for like 1 tower, no screen, no keyboard. It's $1,000. So it's like, whoa, man, what are these schools doing to really finance or fund these esports clubs? And we've committed to the Switches, and the kids are so excited. We decided we got Show Week coming up this week. So this is a big week for you, and we'll talk about Show Week in a little bit here. And then we're going to take a week off, and then we're going to start a Wednesday 5-6 esports club, and then a 7-8 esports club of Rocket League on Thursdays.
It's going to be amazing.
And so we're so excited to get this going. And so we'll have like a quarter and a half to kind of run out, our first like middle school esports, and the guys from IT, they were so awesome. They took one of the switches and they were talking about opening the ports and kind of like labeling everything so they can kind of see this on the network, and they don't want to open up everything where someone could have a switch and get on the network. And they were just problem solvers, and I was just so excited. And they've been working with the high schools, high school in our district, Sandra Day O'Connor. They're actually starting to compete this week in League of Legends.
So cool.
I'm a little hazy on what League of Legends is, but that's like a huge one where they're like this one team. They're like basically Michael Jordan. They walk down the street, people like chase them. It's crazy how big League of Legends is, but I have no clue what it is. And then the Deer Valley High School has gone PC, and they're all about Rocket League. So, and they've been competing, and they've actually won some big tournaments in Arizona, and they're PC based as well. But the cool thing was the interest. Like when they first rolled it out, they had 140 kids out of this high school that wanted to be a part of it. And then you run into like that whole issue about being PC based, and they actually looked at focusing on the Switch, but switched to PC there.
Well, a lot of things that you just said made me. I want to just say a huge thank you to Mr. Galletti for really, this is something we asked to do, and he's really been behind us the whole time, and, continuing to reach out to people, the right people, to follow up on this for us, which means so much to us, because we have ideas, but we need the help, in those situations. So we're grateful. But then even to work for a district that's saying like, okay, all right, let's look at this. How can we make this happen? Not just getting focused on obstacles and challenges, but being willing to take the time to find those solutions and being creative about it and having the conversations and finding a way, because it's worth it. And this is the next phase. And I am really, really proud to be part of a group of people that are deciding to be visionaries in this department and to help us find how to make that work. That is hugely, I'm really, really grateful for that, because we can take it to a certain place, but then we need people to say like, okay, we'll help you make this happen. And we're getting the help you with this is next part. That's where we are. And we're super pumped. Like, this is going to be amazing.
I think it would be the hardest thing when you try to be innovators and you want to implement new things. So many times you get one door slammed in your face and you're like, it's over. We've been in that position before many times, and we're like, all right, we're going to keep working. We're going to work through this, and everything's, I wouldn't say wide open doors, but there's a crack in the door, and they're like, we're going to try this, we're going to work with this, and I'm like, all right, if we want to get started, like not this week but the week after, could we do it? And he's like, yeah, you should be able to do this, with a game, and we're going to start working on this Monday and get this going. And so it was so positive. Then right when the switches rolled in, that was about 2 weeks ago. Me, you, and Mr. Galletti were talking, and then someone else from IT was kind of popping in.
That guy was awesome.
Yeah, he was so pumped, and we were talking about what we want to do. And he's like, "Oh, I want to be part of this. I'll be on your adult team." He's like, "I'll come here," and he was just so geeked up for like what school has become to like offer these kids. And so many people are like, "I wish I was in school doing this right now."
So many people.
And yesterday, when we were putting the two TVs on our little orange palette push thingy, people were like, 2 TVs, and like we started talking about esports, and that one takes their kid to a preschool right around here. She's really like, what school is this? This is interesting. And then we bumped into a student in line, and they were just losing their minds about the mom was losing her mind about the concept of esports, and that's really a thing. And I've heard people talk about it, and we were like, so like just picking up those 2 TVs, walking in line, we had these 2 most amazing conversations about what education is becoming in esports.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you too, when you took Mackenzie to go do the stuff at the event that we were at, and I was sitting with Maddox's mom yesterday, and she was saying, I was talking to her about how we needed to head to Costco after their, to get the TVs and the esports thing.
Costco closes early on Saturdays.
They do, freakishly so. Anyway, so I was talking to her about it, and she said, when I hear the things that Maddox gets to do at your school and all of the opportunities, she said, first of all, I really want to go back to school. And she said, I never had these things. And you guys there's so much for kids to do now, and all of these things that they can explore. And I just am so amazed by that. And, and then we were talking about things that set, there's a lot of stuff going on in our district and things that we get to do. And she was just really excited. She said, I'm so happy for my kid that he goes to the school that he does and that he has all of these things. He can choose from all of these things. And she said, I never had that. She's like, I can't even believe this esports thing is like, that it's happening, it's
we were
crazy.
Blowing people's minds.
I know. Yesterday was a big day. And just, those were just the people that we decided to talk to. Just think about, we looked kind of like, kind of high rollers rolling up to the thing with our two TVs.
TVs and SIM
That's
cards.
Right. And apparently that was the big selling item yesterday at Costco, where people just rolling in to buy the TVs. So anyway, it was a really incredible experience to just know that that's the next thing to cross off our list. And then, we were even talking today about like, okay, what's our next step? What will we need to do to make the next part happen? And we have, we always have ideas. You and I have our wish list already going, and I'm super excited. It's just going to be, because you just can already envision the kids and what this is going to mean to them. And it just blows my mind.
And Vizio, we're still looking for an official sponsor for the Nailed It wall. We did seal the deal on a Vizio
That's right.
58-inch screen
And
TV
for
yesterday.
her and her mom. Even the mom was like,
Yes,
maybe I should
times
upgrade.
two. I know.
So you're welcome, Vizio.
Yes, you are welcome.
Yeah.
She was all excited. She was hanging out with us, having a good time. She's like, I just don't understand it. And like, we're like, oh yeah, this one has these smart capabilities and they all can do this. And she's like, I'm all in on this one.
Yeah.
And she's like, we better get them before they go. These people got two.
Dude, they were going. I'm glad we did that yesterday. I'll tell you what, even though we were tired, it was worth it.
We were thinking about going this morning, which would have been a hot mess.
Hot mess, seriously.
Now, in all seriousness, we record this podcast on Sundays. So like usually Sundays, we got a million little projects that we try to get done, try to get organized for the week, mess up on what day a Rubik's Cube tournament is.
Yes, I'm good like that.
Build some TV stands. I do not have TV stands on. That's what our Sunday's like.
Crushing it.
I enjoy Diet Coke. I get excited. You get mentally prepared for the week. Now, last Sunday, something happened that I don't think anyone really expected. We recorded the podcast. We were cleaning up. We were getting ready to finish our day. And then I got a call from my wife. And Tracy, Mrs. Mayfield, was in here, and she said Kobe Bryant passed away. And I quickly rebuffed her. I said, oh, it's fake news. It must be like one of those TMZ reports that, it's not true. And this is something that, then, we're there talking, and we're just like in disbelief. Your heart just like thought about your brother, Zachy, and what a fan he is of Kobe Bryant. And we have a big, I'd say K-8 kids just love basketball on our campus. I can't talk. I've talked many times about the influence basketball has had on my life, and I wouldn't be here without the opportunities basketball has afforded me and opened those doors and given me that structure in my life. And even though I'm a Celtics fan, diehard Celtics fan, I'll still never give Kobe for taking that Game 7 in Los Angeles. Ron Artest hit that 3, and we lost that one championship there. But there's that bitter rivalry between the Celtics and Lakers. You're a Cali person, and when it came, more and more reports confirming the death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and 7 other passengers, I believe, in that helicopter crash. As he was going to his own training center, he used to take a helicopter every day from practice to the Staples Centers. It's just part of his life. These things, like, it's hard to process. Now, you did a great thing, and I love what you do with your students. Like, you really addressed it, and you kind of talked about some of the things that your students said or felt, or what made you kind of really feel like you had to talk about this.
Well, I think because, like, even when you and I left, we kept talking that day, and it was like more stuff it just settles with you, right? You hear something, and then it's just kind of settling with you, and you just can't get it out of your mind, and you realize how impactful. So for me, I was thinking about, like, my feelings about that. Growing up in Southern California, Lakers was, it's a huge part of the culture. And, and I come from a huge family. So when I would go to my grandparents, I have, my mom's the oldest of 11 kids. So there's 7 uncles, and then all the uncles that are married to the aunts. So there's a lot of people. We all watch Lakers. Like, that's a thing. And so it just kind of is so tied to my family. And then like you said, then I felt really sad for my brother. So to lose my dad and someone that's such a big iconic part of your childhood kind of rocks you in that or in that respect. And and for my sister and for my other brother as well. And I was thinking about how much that affected me, and how death is weird like that, where there's so many layers to when somebody dies. It doesn't even have to be someone that you knew personally, but someone that had an impact on your life. And I feel like people don't feel that they have permission to grieve and be honest about those feelings because they feel like, well, people are gonna think I'm ridiculous because I didn't know him, and I didn't want my students to feel that way because it's legitimate. And so we had every period I talked about the fact that that death really rocked my world, my family's world, and I said, and I kind of gave them that whole spiel. And I was saying, people are role models in our life, and when you have those people to look up to, it's hard when they're gone. And I was comparing it to like how hilarious how we are on campus because we're the face on announcements. So how many kids think they know us, and we've talked about that before, where they think that we know them well. So I constantly have kids coming up to me and hugging me and saying hi to me that I've never met. And essentially that's what it's like, but on a much bigger scale. Not that I'm comparing myself to Kobe, but I'm just saying on a much bigger scale. But you feel like these people are in your home. These are people you watch and you cheer on. And so my 8th graders a lot of them were really rocked over this. And they got to talk about, like, I'm really sad. And a girl that we both really, really think so highly of, Summer, plays on our SV team here, and it allowed her an opportunity to talk about her feelings and the experiences that she had with Kobe. And she wore like a tribute shirt to him and did something on her backpack, and she wanted to talk about that and share that. And you realize
her knowledge of the game is it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. I've learned so much from her, and I think it's so important when something like that happens to not gloss over it and to address it and to make it a conversation, because I really, really do believe that just being open and allowing kids to grieve when they need to grieve in whatever way that looks like. And for some kids, it didn't faze them, and that's fine. That's how it is. But for a lot of them, they need to know that that's okay. And I wanted to shut down the conversations that I did hear. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't be sad about somebody that you didn't even know. Okay, well, that's not true. And so like for me, it really made me super sad about my dad, because then it just reminds you of loss in general. So, just sharing that with the kids and having that conversation, it was a really, really impactful moment. And, you and I think you were a little bit joking, but then not really, about like, we'll always remember where we were when we heard about that, because it was really important to you too. And for those kids, they're going to remember that happened in 8th grade and about like the memories of that. And I wanted to be respectful of them processing that in the way that they needed to.
Yeah, it was tough. Colby's a little older than myself, but a big reason why I love to read is because of Sports Illustrated and Slam magazine. And this is like pre-internet days where, you'd hear these stories about these kids from Rutgers Park, and, they're 15 years old. And, I'd always read these stories about this kid from Lower Merion. And, I think he was the second one to jump from high school. I think Kevin Garnett was first. I could be wrong. But, that was such, nobody did that at that age. And, it was so cool to kind of see what he was doing. And, there's so many great trivias that came out this past week. Tons of Rubik's Cube mosaics. And
those were cool.
What they did at the Lakers game the other night, I don't know if you saw the video of that. They did like this 5-minute, like the guy was playing a cello. I'm not great with instruments, but it was just so beautiful. And it was just like tied to all these like Kobe quotes. Usher performed at halftime. In the Staples Center, they said that's the house that Kobe built. They had
all the times, like, wasn't it? They all took a certain foul. It wasn't a foul, but was it like to do the 24?
The 8 seconds, and the 8-second violation, the 24-second violation. But the Lakers game is truly powerful, and everyone's like sharing these stories. And the one that kind of stuck with me was like Ellie Duncan from Sports
That
Center.
was amazing.
She was like so awesome. Like it was cool. We both have girls, and a big thing for us is like, being a girl dad.
It is. It's really emotional. And like that one, I agree. Of all of the things I saw, that one was the one that hit me the hardest because, Kobe was this legend. He was this bigger than life person. And, but at the end of the day, what he's being remembered as is a dad, like a dad to this girl. And that was the other thing that was so hard for my
Four
kids.
girls.
Yeah, as all those girls. And then that was hard for my kids to know that someone close to their age passed away, and that rocked their world. But like that conversation too. But yeah, I mean, that was an amazing video or thing that she did. I was a mess too. I mean, it was just one of those things that at the end of the day, and that's what I talk to my kids about. At the end of the day, what's important to you? What do you want to be remembered by? And everybody's going to know Kobe was a great basketball player, but I think it would have broken his heart if the first thing that people talked about wasn't his love for his girls and his family and being a dad. And I think he worked really hard to make sure that was something that was well known about him as a person. And I think that's an amazing legacy. So it's pretty cool.
And Jay Donde, he kind of, rocked my world a little bit because, people in LA work hard, but it's Hollywood, it's La La Land. And then when they were going back and forth, the Bus family trying to decide, there was like this bitter feud between Shaq and Kobe, and which side would they take? Would they keep Shaq or keep Kobe? And the reason why they kept Kobe was because Kobe resonated more with the Laker fan base. And the reason they said that was because of the 300 section. This is J.I. Donde talking, LA Times columnist, I believe. I think he's a professor now. But he's awesome. He's always on Around the Horn. And he would talk about, look at every movement, every movie, and you see all those names who's getting up at 4 a.m. They love Kobe's work ethic, and that's why they chose Kobe, because they saw how hard he worked and what he gave this city and how much they believed in him. And, I never really thought of LA as like this blue-collar town, this hard-working town. I know they worked hard, but I thought it was like glamour and glitz. And you think of Boston as that gritty, like hard-working, blue-collar city, the steel mills. And it was kind of cool to kind of hear that perspective and to kind of like just so many stories and tributes have come out from celebrities, fans, and how did your brother take the news?
It was pretty rough. I mean, he was pretty raw from it, for exactly the reasons that I thought it was going to be. Like as soon as he was literally the first person I thought of when you said that. And because of my dad, but then also because of, it's part of who you grew up admiring. And again, just being one of the greats, but great in a lot of different ways. And like, I think I told you, but only one period, I let the announcements go and I didn't hit cancel for YouTube not to play the next video. And it happened to be this tribute that Ellen did on her show. And it was talking about things that he helped fans, like dreams that he helped bring to life, make true. And oh my gosh, like you could have heard a pin drop in my classroom, and they were just, and a lot of the basketball team players are in that class. And I think it's just so important to just have those moments to see that this is a person that had all this, recognition and fame and did all these great things on the court. But then like, he was so kind to these people. And, he did those, like the training camps, and then the story that LeBron James was sharing, it's just really amazing that you can have such a ripple effect in your life for so many different reasons. And I'm just amazed.
And so many people talked about time, and Kobe's a little longer than us, and as a parent, like really makes you think. And we always talk about why we love our job, because we don't drive very far. So we're like, oh, we don't spend 2.5 hours a week in the car, 10 hours a month going back and forth. We both live a minute away from school. And so we're like, oh, this frees up this time to do these things. And, as this happened, just, makes you want to be a better parent, be a better friend, reach out to those. And time, how precious our time is, and what you do for others is the most important thing on this planet. and so many people. I mean, LeBron James even talked about his own mortality.
Yeah.
Mortality, speaking, is chasing these things on the basketball court, worth like missing out these things. And he gave a great thing this morning. I was up early. The Joker won the Australian Open, and he talked about Kobe and just really about time and with your family and the things that are most important to you, and taking the time. And I think everyone is a better friend and a better parent because of what Kobe meant. And he's just so vibrant and just loved life, and everything he did was just uplifting.
Yeah, and I think that I really do feel like that should be, at the end of the day, the message that you walk away from is it's a reminder to not take anything for granted, and to be intentional with your life, and decide what you want to do in this time that we're here. And I think that they thought because he was like a legend person, he was like untouchable. And they kept saying, but he's so young. And I said, you can never take anything for granted. And I think obviously as 8th grade students, they're not going to understand that really on the kind of in the magnitude that we do as adults. But I think it shook them. It shook them in a big way. And but it's a good conversation for them to start thinking about, like, what we all have the potential to do with our life. And we won't necessarily all have Kobe fame, but it doesn't matter in your small square, radius around you. Okay, can a square be radius? Okay, circle, your radius of your circle. Like, what are you going to do with that? And like, how will you make people's lives better? And I think that's a good challenge for everybody,
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about the other lives were lost, and I think like that helicopter is actually sent here in Phoenix right now. What's going to come out of it? I know it was a foggy day, and and like you're going to hear these great stories about these people that were on that just awful accident. And as we end this episode, just this week, take some time to spend with those most loved ones. Tell them how much you appreciate them, and just know our time is the most precious thing.
Yeah, I mean, and make the most of every day. And I think that is the best way to honor anyone that's passed, no matter who it is. And it's his gift to us that we get that reminder.
All right, people, if you can be anything, be kind and keep changing the world. Now, if you loved hearing conversations about Rubik's Cube, failures, and TVs that aren't on stands, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Every Tuesday, the latest episode of the Nailed It Wall will be downloaded to your phone. Now, if you want to see what the pictures of our t-shirts actually look like, make sure you follow us on Twitter. You can find me at Mr. Lane the STEM Guy.
And me at A Positive Proton.